Welcome to Capitol Theater's Musical Moments. This series of educational and hopefully entertaining offerings is made possible by the generous support of our sponsors, including Baker Boyer Bank, Fresh Hop Group, G.H. Moen LLC, the Moen Family, Red and Carolyn Ramsey, Yakima Sunrise Rotary, and from donors just like you. Hello, welcome back.
Welcome back.
It's Charlie.
It's Al.
It's great to have you in our home again. We have yet another offering of the Musical Moments, and this one is actually with a second song from a collaborative team that we enjoy so much, Ahrens and Flaherty. This is actually a musical I became rather obsessed with and just listened to so often. You're less familiar with the musical.
I've only heard the cast album once, but I have seen the movie on which this musical is based, and it's a really good movie.
Who started that?
I want to say it's Albert Finney. I have to look it up.
I think so. So it's an amazing story set in Dublin. I actually came across this when I was actually visiting and touring in London, so in Dublin. So thrilled to have you share this with us. And this is from the show A Man of No Importance. It's Love Who You Love. I'm not one to lecture. How could I dare? Someone like me who's been mainly nowhere. But in my experience, be as it may, you just have to love who you love. You just have to love who you love. Your common sense tells you best not begin. But your full heart cannot help plunging in, and nothing and no one can stand in your way. You just have to love who you love. You just have to love who you love. People can be hard sometimes, and their words can cut so deep. Choose the one you choose, love, and don't lose a moment's sleep. Who can tell you who to want? Who can tell you what you were destined to be? Take it from me. There's no fault in loving, no cause for shame. Everyone's heart works exactly the same. And once you believe that, you'll learn how to say, I love who I love, who I love. So just go and love who you love. So, as we mentioned in the intro, the lyrics were written by Lynn Ahrens, and the music was written by Stephen Flaherty. The book, as I'd mentioned in a previous episode, was written by Terrence McNally. And as Al noted in the intro, the musical is based on the film of the same name that starred Albert Finney in the lead character of Alfie. And that's definitely worth checking that one out. What drew me to this musical originally was the cover of the off-Broadway cast album. And the cover is dominated by an image of the main character, Alfie. And for that production, it was portrayed by Roger Rees. Now, Roger Rees has had an extensive career in film, television, and also on stage and as a director for theater. And while he's done a wide range of roles, and there's any number of ways in which you might know him, Roger Rees might be most familiar to most people as the character of Robin Colcourt in Cheers, or as the British ambassador, Lord John Marbury, in West Wing. And if you haven't seen the BBC broadcast of the Royal Shakespeare Company's production of The Life and Adventures of Nicholas Nickleby, in which Roger Rees played the title character of that, you really have missed out. And it's been over 30 years, so you'll be forgiven in this case if you might have missed that one. But again, something worth checking out. Now, I had the pleasure of working with Roger Rees a very long time ago. When I was an intern, as a student, I interned at the Bristol Old Vic in England, and Roger was the assistant artistic director at the time for the Old Vic. And by chance, we also then, many years later, ran into each other in New York City, on the streets of New York, while he was working on this production. And then I had the pleasure, just a few years before he died, of presenting him in St. Louis in his one-man show, What You Will, which was his portrayal of a variety of characters that he had had a chance to perform of Shakespeare's works through his vast career. And that was such a pleasure to have that opportunity to present him and to get to know him a little bit through the years. Admittedly, Roger didn't have a great singing voice, quite respectful, but this was also not a role that required that, much in the same way that Rex Harrison wasn't required to sing in My Fair Lady, and Russell Crowe might not have needed to sing in Les Mis. But no, I'll let that go. But when Roger Rees was on stage, he had a presence, and you always were aware of who he was, and the character that he was portraying always was so moving. And that's what was required for this show. Now, the show is set in Dublin, and it's centered around an amateur theater group that is attempting to put on a production of Salome. And this is up against the objections of their church leadership. So I've been a bit obsessed with this story for a variety of reasons, and long before I went through my own experiences of objections from church authorities. But this is a coming out story, and Alfie goes through this much later in life. And I have had the opportunity to share that particular path with a variety of my friends who have experienced that in that particular way. And this story is really true to and authentic to the experiences of going through a coming out story later in life. And I find that that much more rewarding and that much more engaging of a story because of that. Overall, I think the key message that draws me to this show is embodied within a line by Alfie's character. And he says, "I am blessed in my friends." And life gives us a lot to deal with, and life gives us a lot of gifts to deal with the things that we are presented with. And sometimes those come off as triumphs, and sometimes those come off as trials. But I think it's the friends that we bring along the path with us, the ones that help grease the wheels so that our ride is made a bit smoother and certainly a lot more enjoyable. And we certainly do credit, and I personally credit so many friends who have not only brought me along on their journeys, but have also shared mine and have made this life so much more enjoyable, so much more fun. And that is to both my new friends in Yakima as well as all of those longtime friends in St. Louis and back in England and the many places I've been along the way. So thank you one and all. I so appreciate it. For those of you who are watching this and have joined us for yet another adventure in the musings of Charlie Robin and our musical moments for the Capitol Theater, thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for coming back. Do come back next time. I want to thank my handsome husband and collaborator, Al Fischer, who is always with me on this journey, and to our sponsors to help make this all possible and to keep the Capitol Theater alive in this trying time that we are currently experiencing. We look forward to seeing you next time. And we even have some guest artists who are going to be coming along for the ride. So look forward to seeing you again. Take care.